doing this with me, Father.
I absolutely am honored, Aly.
Thanks. It means a lot that you. I know that you have a busy schedule. So
it's not true. It's just all an act. I do nothing all day.
What is it you say? That being a priest is
one day a week.
1 day a week.
1 day a week, and even right now we're down to like one mass on Sunday nights and 1 hour.
Perfect.
Maybe 15. 1 hour and 15 minutes.
Well, I know that's not true. You're a busy man, so thanks for taking the time.
Well, thank you, because I don't know if you know this, people who are watching, but Aly just bailed us out when it came to music. Well, actually, you always bail us out when it comes to music.
What do you mean?
Aly always bails us out when it comes to music. Whenever we need someone, like, we're like, okay, who's the best musician we know? Well, Aly Aleigha is the number one answer. Also, have we talked about my super fan? You're a super fan?
Oh, your niece?
Yes, my niece Heidi is Aly's number one super fan, I think. I don't know, but I know she is an awesome fan. She loves, oh my gosh, she almost loves Aly more than I do. Heidi.
Heidi's awesome.
She is.
She's the coolest. Also, I can't wait for camp. That's
Yeah.
happening, right?
Yes,
COVID.
2 weeks. Camp.
Good.
So good. We do a thing called Camp Survive. It's a junior high camp, and it is awesome, but it was canceled last year because of this pandemic.
Yes.
A thing called the pandemic.
Yes, but we are pressing on,
Yeah.
and we get to do exciting things now, like
So good.
virtual events.
Yeah.
and
And also, we're not making each other sick right now, which is great.
it's true. We're both healthy, right? You are?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You hope so.
Cool. Well, I was, again, just happy that you agreed to come here and talk with me about this, because I've told you that my song Gallicantu was inspired by your talk in Israel, and I was hoping that you could kind of share a little bit of that talk, like that you gave us, share about Peter's perspective of the passion.
Well, it was one of those things where, so the church, is it Church of St. Peter in Gallicantu? Is that the whole title? I'm not sure. But yeah, Gallicantu. And so basically, one of the kind of, if you orient yourself in the city of Jerusalem, on where the upper room is in this certain region of Jerusalem. And then you walk down into the Kidron Valley, across the Kidron Valley up to the Garden of Gethsemane. And then from there, Jesus was arrested and he was brought to Caiaphas' house, which is right back by, kind of closer to the upper room a little bit. I mean, it's kind of the same-ish neighborhood. And so there's a church there now built. And in the basement of the church, there is essentially a dungeon that goes way, way back to the 1st century at least. And the thought is that that's where Jesus was kept overnight when he was in Caiaphas' house. And out in the courtyard outside, obviously, would be where Peter had been warming himself by the fire. And that's where he denied knowing Jesus. And it's just one of those things where it just always hits me so hard. Hits me hard on Holy Thursday and on Good Friday, because those are those typical moments, critical moments where we go back there. But part of it is because I just think, okay, this is the night of his first Holy Communion. He received communion that night, the Eucharist first time. This is the night of Peter's ordination. And not only do we have Peter denying knowing Jesus, but it says in the scriptures, it says that he cursed and swore and said, I do not know the man. And so you think like, wow, where do you get to that point where you're willing to take the Lord's name in vain, denying knowing the Lord? Which is just like, you just think, wow, that's so far. And you think about how it's not just a far fall, right? From being your first Holy Communion to being ordination to falling to denying knowing Jesus, but even like that so fast. He fell so far, so fast, the same night. And I think of all the times where that might have been me in those situations where it's like, okay, Lord, I want to be completely yours. And earlier on in that night, this part of the reflection, as Aly knows, you might not know, earlier on in that night, Peter says, Lord, I'll die for you, and I'll die with you. Like, I'll go wherever you want me to go, and I'll die there. And I think a lot of times we read it now and we think like, yeah, Peter, you're just full of it. You're just, big talker. That's all you are. And I wonder if there's that accusation that comes against Peter, like, you're just big talker, like you don't even know yourself. And yet, when they go to the Garden of Gethsemane and the soldiers come in, professional soldiers who come in to arrest Jesus, who is the person who starts fighting? Peter starts fighting. Like, he actually does what he said he would do. He says, no, Lord, I would lay down my life for you. And he's the only one that we see, at least, who's willing to kind of put his money where his mouth is, and he's actually willing to fight. And then Jesus tells him not to, and you think, okay, it can be kind of confusing, because it's like, okay, Lord, you said I was going to betray you, I was going to deny you tonight. Here I am not doing that. Here I am actually sticking up for you, and you're telling me to back down. Okay, whatever, here we go.
Yeah, and that, when you gave this talk in Israel, that's the part that really like stuck out to me. I was like, whoa, you're right. Like, he is so willing to do that. And you did a great job of relating it to like our own lives and like what we feel in that moment of like when we want to, fight for the Lord. And like, yes, I will do this for you, Lord. I promised, and I'm going to follow through here. And, but yeah, just like not expecting the way that Jesus wanted him to respond. Like, that he expected the battle there, but he didn't expect the battle
Yeah,
later
it's
on.
such a good part in your song too. Is that,
Which I'm pretty sure I stole the line.
But it's okay though, because you get it back and then I can use it. Because there's that sense of he expected the battle in the garden, but then he goes to the courtyard and he's unprepared. I mean, he's not ready. And think about this again. Think this is the same Peter who just moments before was willing to die. And now this handmaid, the servant girl, essentially says, wait a second, aren't you with him? And he denies it. And you think, okay, what's happened in Peter's heart right now, where he was willing to fight a bunch of soldiers, but here in the courtyard, he's not even willing to acknowledge the fact that he knows Jesus. I don't know what that is, other than he was ready for a fight in the one, and he wasn't ready for a fight in the other. I just think maybe that's it. And I think there's part of it that we are, when we know ourselves, we're like, okay, I'm strong here, and this is where I'm really going to knuckle down and fight. And then all of a sudden we get blindsided by our own weakness. We get blindsided by, like, I did not anticipate that would be where I would. So here's an example. Not too long ago, we had, okay, here's a long story. So, yeah, take a sip. Also, I'm sorry about my coffee breath, but it's real.
You
That's what it is.
You're good.
But so, there's a quote from J.K. Chesterton where he says, an adventure is an inconvenience rightly considered, and an inconvenience is an adventure wrongly considered.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, so good. And, or maybe it was Tolkien, I think it was Chesterton. And I mentioned it to one of our missionaries, and she said, I never heard that before. And I was like, yeah, I really like it. She said, I never heard you say it before. And I was like, yeah, I really like it. And she said, I've never seen you live like that before. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. I get inconveniences. I'm not necessarily like, yeah, this is an adventure. I thought, okay, that's something I like the idea of. I don't live up to it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all of us.
Yeah, probably.
It's very easy to see anything random inconveniencing you as like, oh man, this is just, it's an inconvenience.
What the heck? Yeah, my plans.
Yeah, but an adventure is an inconvenience sought out.
Yeah.
Like, we want that.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that. I'm gonna live by that now too.
There you go. I'm gonna start. But the other day I was talking with a couple missionaries, and I was reflecting on. So we had some mass. I took a couple talks and some mass and stuff like this. Some mass, homily, talk, preaching, all these things. And afterwards, I was really like attacked by discouragement, like this real spirit of, I'm just failing, and this is all, I'm screwing everything up, and this is awful, and I'm not doing what I should be doing, and I was stepping back and trying to bring it to the Lord, and I was processing with some of the missionaries and just thinking, like, this is weird. I don't usually, for as much as I don't actually live up to the inconvenience is an adventure wrongly considered, vice versa, I really do 100% embrace the reality that discouragement is the worst thing and difficulties are actually good. Like that obstacles are opportunities, that idea. And every challenge is so good. What had happened, well, I remember now what happened. One of the things that happened over the course of one morning, was I had been recording the Bible in a Year podcast and lost like 15 episodes.
No.
And it was like hours and hours of work. And I just was, and then plus I had to preach and other things, and it just didn't seem to come out right. And I just was like, this is just defeated. And I felt defeated. But the point is, I love that challenge. Like, I love the obstacle. I've been trying to embrace that. I love the fact that the obstacles are opportunities, and we need them in order to grow. And discouragement is the enemy. And here I was in the midst of obstacles, feeling defeated, and here I was in the midst of discouragement, feeling really, really, really low. I mean, it just was like, unusually for me. And then I remember thinking, like, oh, this is a battle I wasn't prepared for. Like, it was that kind of thing of like, I prepared for other battles. Like, I knew that if I get ahead with the Bible in a year, or if I get ahead with this or that, the other thing, that I could really win. And had not factored in, oh, but what happens when you lose? And how quickly I got to a place that I always want to run away from, or not run away from, but always avoid discouragement, defeat, and treating obstacles like obstacles instead of opportunities. And this is something I think, like with Peter, I'm like, no, I'm ready to go. And then bam, blindsided by something that maybe you would think, I can stand up to a little servant girl in the courtyard, but then he can't. I don't know.
No, yeah, I think that's really relatable. And Peter's life, and in like the story that you just shared, it was like we're all, I think, yeah, when something like that happens, when you like put in so much work and like you plan to build off of that work. And,
yeah,
like,
totally.
You
oh
know,
my gosh.
like,
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh yes, I do. And you know, like the effort is going to build into something even more like amazing, you know, and so like you don't mind putting in that work there and like fighting in that way, but as soon as like everything falls apart, you're like, wait a minute, everything that I wanted just crumbled. And I think that speaks to like our human desire for control. And I wonder if like that played an element in Peter's, you know, everything that he was dealing with that night too, of like, wait, I will do this out of my own strength, out of my own goodness. I will fight instead of just receiving the mission that God wanted him in that moment. And like every opportunity that is placed before us, like every obstacle is an opportunity, like you said.
Well, that thing too of like, I'm going to take control of this and I'm going to win. Another thing I keep thinking of, I want done sometimes more than I want process.
Oh yeah, me too.
So I've been reflecting on this for a number of years, that there are some journey people and destination people, and I'm definitely a destination person, where the whole journey I'm like, okay, let's get to the destination, and then I can relax, as opposed to people just like, no, we're enjoying the journey. And I think, so even similarly, here's Peter, who the gauntlet's been thrown out of his gauntlet, but the point that his weakness has been pointed out. You're going to fail me. Essentially, you're going to deny knowing me. Okay, let me just get to that challenge. Let me get to the place where I don't deny. Let me get to the place where I actually do lay down my life. And then I'll be done, and then I'll be whatever. And I know sometimes when it comes to the middle of work, where it's like, it wasn't the worst thing to go back and re-record those episodes, because I had a familiarity with them that I didn't have the first time. I was able to tweak some things that I think actually blessed those episodes. And also that night I was talking with some people at the gym, you know, and I just mentioned briefly that, I lost all these episodes, and I said something along the lines of, but I knew two things. I know, like, I can smile, and that'll actually help. And secondly, I know that God can use all of this. And that's this thing of like, I'm going to say this out loud because I know that God can use all of this. And that's true, completely true. And that's what's true for Peter too, is that, thanks be to God, unlike Judas, this wasn't his last day of his life. Unlike Judas, Peter didn't let this be the last thing that he went through.
And he turned to Christ. And went to the right place to receive that forgiveness. And like, when I spoke with Jeff about this, he talked about that second fire, the place where Jesus
John 21.
calls him back to himself, and how, like, but before that, Peter got out of the boat and he went to Jesus, and that is huge, because like in our own journeys, like, we need to turn back to him, because Christ is always there waiting for us and inviting us back into that mission that he has called us to, and just like his embrace. And how Judas, he turned to the wrong people in order to seek forgiveness. And he sought forgiveness in the wrong place instead of going back to Jesus. He
goes back to I'm gonna give my money back. Like, that we want it. There's something there too about that God can use all of it, not just for Peter's sake, but for others' sake. I mean, if we reflect on this, what does every one of us know about the first pope? Is that he denied knowing Jesus 3 times. On the night of his first communion, not the night of his ordination, the night Jesus needed him the most, he wasn't there. And that, I think that should give us a lot of hope, because we recognize, okay, so I look at him, I think about this failure that's so public from Peter, that can, I wonder how many people over the course of the last 2,000 years have been blessed and been encouraged not to give up, because God can use this. Like Peter, not only will I use this to bring you back,
Right.
I can use this failure, this massive, catastrophic failure, to encourage those who have failed as well. You know, it's just, you never know how God is going to use. I was reflecting on this the other day. There's a priest. I got an email from someone, and they said they have a priest. I don't know if at the Newman Center or if at their parish. I'm not sure, but he has a stutter, and they said at first kind of like it was kind of difficult to understand a little bit, but then they said we just all are so inspired by him, because sometimes it takes him 30 seconds to get the word out or a minute to get the sentence done, but they say, but he just radiates the power of God because working through weakness. And there's something about, like, there's someone who's a really good speaker who just get up and do all these things really powerfully, but sometimes you think, well, maybe it's just them. But they said for him, he just lets the Father's love, it lets Jesus Christ's power come through him, because his weakness is on display, and therefore God's power is on display through his priesthood. It's just, I was just so moved by that, and think that here's St. Peter, same kind of thing. His weakness is on display for everyone to see, and so then everyone can see God's mercy in Peter's life.
I love that, and I think that's key too, because like you were saying, Peter, when Jesus like marked, you're going to deny me, like this is your weakness, and he like broadcasted that, his reaction was, no, I won't, like I'm not going to do that, which actually blocked him from, I mean, like obviously it's good to want to do well and to not fall and everything, but by coming out of that place of control, he was blocking what Christ wanted to do in his mission, which is to, yes, even if you do fail, I can use that.
Well, even this, in Luke's gospel, Jesus prays. He says, "Behold, Simon, behold, Satan has desired to sift all of you like wheat. But I prayed for you, singular, Simon, that when you have returned, you may strengthen your brethren." And there is something about that that's just, Jesus is saying, this is going to happen. But you're also going to return. And I'm praying for you on this. And just like to think, here's Jesus who's saying, I'm praying for you who I know is going to deny me. My friend who I know is not going to be a friend to me. And it's just something powerful about it. It just reveals Jesus' heart to us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeff and I also talked similar to that about the mission that each of us is called to, and like how we, again, coming out of that place of like not our own goodness or not our own strength, but like that the power of Christ may dwell more readily through us, and just Peter being on the shore of Galilee, coming back to Jesus in that moment, and how that is what launched him into giving all of us the gospel. And that's huge. And so like the power of Christ really can dwell in each and every one of us in our failures.
There's something, there's a book on the shelf right behind me that is called, it's horizontal, How to Profit from Your Faults. And it's over 100 years old, How to Profit from Your Faults. And it's so good. It's based off a lot of teachings of St. Francis de Sales, and it comes from that, I don't know if it's called a theology of weakness, but it is an element of just, I don't know, how can God get to us unless he gets to us through the cracks in our hearts or through the wounds we have in ourselves. I know that that's probably some of the primary ways that God has gotten to me is by convicting me of my sins and where I need him. Because if you think about it, a lot of times I can be so frustrated with, gosh, I don't want to have to deal with this anymore, and not just because I don't want to fail the Lord anymore, but also because I want to be done. Like, again, going back to the done idea, like I want to. I mean, in some ways we could say, I don't want to have to keep going back to confession for this. I don't want to keep going back to you, Lord, for this. In some ways, what we're ultimately saying underneath all of that is, I don't want to have to need your grace so much. And it's one of the reasons I think the Lord allows us to be weak, is because he's like, well, your weakness reminds you that you're not me and that I am here for you.
And then we get to rely on him. And it was, Christ's own heart was pierced. And so when we like experience that brokenness in our own lives, I found that powerful in my own prayer of like praying with divine mercy and like Jesus's heart being pierced for us, and that wound is what allowed his blood and water, his mercy to flow out upon us and just bless us all.
Yeah. Amen.
Amen. Cool. Thank you for doing this. And before you go, do you have like a favorite spot in Holy Land that you like going back to? Or?
Okay. Gosh. So there are a couple of favorite spots. The overarching favorite spot is the Sea of Galilee, because it's just
like in the boat on the Sea of Galilee, or like on the shore.
On the shore, because you're trapped on the boat. The boat's fine. I don't mind.
True.
But you're like, you're okay. You're here. But I do love. So one year I went on a pilgrimage, and then I stayed there for a couple extra weeks, and I stayed on the shores of the Sea of Galilee, and that was awesome. It was so good. I loved it there. I finished a book I was writing for Ignatius Press, and then prayed. That was it. It was just prayer and work the whole time. And long walks.
Perfect place.
And long walks on the Sea of Galilee. And so that's one place I just love, because it's most untouched, I think. Then in Jerusalem itself, I would say the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, early in the morning. So what we'll typically do is we'll get up early before most people and go down to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and I'll just pick a spot, put some earbuds in, and listen to scripture and just pray there. Just that's been so good.
It's so powerful.
Yeah, but maybe beyond those two, my favorite place is the hotel. Because
of the tree?
Well, no, because of the bar.
Oh.
But no, what I mean by that,
that's great.
What I mean by that is like once you go back to this place, I love going there, but also I love going with people, because then we get done with the day's pilgrimage and all that stuff, and then get to go back to this place where we don't have to go anywhere. We just like, let's sit here and hang out and just get to know people and have like incredible conversations. And I am pretty much an introvert, but I don't know what it is about that space that it's so much fun. And we've had a couple of really good trips recently. Well,
in the last couple
of years, where it's just like good groups of people and just. So I love that prayer in the morning and all throughout the day, but then at the end of the day to be able to come back and just kind of like,
hang out.
Yeah, celebrate the day and community.
Like Jesus and his 12, they're hanging out.
It's so much fun. Oh my gosh. So I'm missing the fact that we didn't do it last year. We're not doing it this year.
But God willing, postponed.
God willing, we will soon.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Do you have a favorite place in
Oh my goodness, I don't know. I love it all. Galilee is huge. And that one time that we went when we like hiked in Mount Arbel, oh my gosh, that was fun. Yeah,
you enjoyed it. Jeff didn't enjoy that one as much.
I have a great picture, I should find it, of Jeff like seeing it for the first time with all of us, because here's the thing, is we we hike up this mountain where Jesus would have...
Yeah, coming from Nazareth down to the Sea of Galilee was kind of like right through this Arbel Pass.
And I love rock climbing and it's adventuring in any way, so I was like, yes, this is amazing, because it was just this beautiful like mountain overlooking everything.
Super high, very steep.
So beautiful. And we at one point needed to like climb down, and like there were what do you call those things? Wired things.
Cables, basically wired cables that were pretty thick, because you had to hold on to them, and also the ladders, rungs of ladders that were hammered into the rock, because you have to climb down. Yeah, it was not kind of like walk down. You had to climb down like a monkey.
Yeah, and so Father Mike, this was your idea.
I thought Jeff knew about it. I thought, of course, he'd been there for 1,000 times.
It's awesome. But I have a picture of a few of us girls who we took a selfie right before like going down, and Jeff behind us, he's seeing it for the first time of us like going down. It's fantastic. I'm gonna post it right here.
I do.
It's so good. Because it just cracks me up. But that was really fun.
Yeah, and I love those adventures too, like the hiking ones where you get out and say, like for example, even just something as simple as we're going to walk from a certain part of the Sea of Galilee down to Capernaum, and because you're walking by the sea, you're thinking, okay, this is possibly where Jesus said, Simon, Andrew, come follow me. James, John, come follow me. It's such a great place to just renew your own call to be a disciple, and yes, to be a disciple. So many places. It's awesome.
You can just enter in so deeply, and the scriptures come alive.
So much. Even everything from like not only the vision, but the smells, sounds, just so good. Yeah, it's a great way to learn Ignatian prayer.
Yeah. There. Oh, absolutely. Everyone, go sign up. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
We'll go in 2022.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
It's gonna happen. And Yeah. Do you have? Okay, this is completely random, but office quotes or
Well,
favorite scene? I think we should.
How many times did I not? How many times did I quote The Office when we were just?
So many.
About an hour before this, we were working together on something, and it was like almost every sentence I said was from The Office because it just comes up. It flows out of me.
It's perfect.
Like honey from
Can I grab your
home.
Dundee?
Yeah, absolutely. Shut from the glass, so we got it already.
Okay.
Yeah, so when we had the Bible in a Year podcast, someone made and sent me a Dundee. And so this is the Dundee that says Dundee Award, number one podcast in America, the Bible in a Year, which was so.
Perfect.
I want to thank everyone for this
Thank
Dundee.
God for this Dundee.
Thank God for this Dundee. I feel bad with this Chili's right now. So
Yes.
my favorite episode, hard to check. I would have to say that there are a number of cold openings. I have at least 5 that are my top 5. But I would say if I had to choose one episode out of all to hand my own personal Dundee to, it would be Fun Run.
Oh.
For a number of reasons. One is probably the best season.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the more solid seasons. I think it's season 3 or 4. It's also a double episode. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to choose one episode to be your number 1, it should probably be a 42-minute episode, not a 21-minute episode.
That is
I'm smart.
valid.
How about you?
Oh, there's so many, but like my ultimate is the one where the fire, not Ryan's fire. The fire where Angela throws the cat in the ceiling and says "Save Band."
It's so funny how many people like that one.
Prior to watching this episode, I was just like, "This is too cringy. I can't handle it." But then my cousin sat me down. She's like, "Just watch this episode," and I was like, "This is hysterical."
It's awesome.
I'm sold. Anyway, thank you for being here.
Oh, I thank you for being here.
Yes, and for hosting. This is great. For everyone, go check out Father Mike's YouTube videos, Ascension Presents, your books. Where can they?
Some podcasts. We have 3 of them.
Oh my gosh. Side note. Bible in the Year is amazing. Thank you for doing that. And yeah, I listen to it every day. And it's like the one thing I'm consistent on in my life.
Yeah, it's easy, right? Press play.
Yeah, it's great.
And go do something.
Yeah, it has been like so good for me. So
that's awesome. I love to hear that because that was the goal. I love the fact that it's just you just press play and you can go drive or run or walk or wash your dishes.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Brush your teeth. There's this. Sorry, I know we're coming to the end. There was a girl that I went to elementary school, junior high, and high school with. Met her on the first day of first grade. We have the same birthday. She now is a professor down in Wisconsin at University of something in Wisconsin. She tweeted out, she said, if you would have told my 2nd grade self that when I was 46 I'd be listening to Father Mike Schmitz read the Bible in my ear while I brush my teeth, I would have said you were crazy.
That's so funny.
But here we are.
That's amazing.
I think that's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's so good, and it's great to have just scripture being able to be read aloud in your presence all the time. You know, it's great. So thanks for doing that. Cool. Thank you again.
Thank you again.
This is fun.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Aly.
Thank you.
Hopefully the audio worked.
Yes,
the video.
I think it's all good.
So cut out. But then again, sometimes when people talk about The Office, things go haywire.
That's true. And you know what? Every obstacle is an opportunity.